He's in the wrong county, isn't he? He's over here now? Okay, didn't know that. Okay, now, Mr. Rob Williamson.
Well, thank you, Morgan.
Now, Rob Williamson was running this place when we came over here. He invited us in, and he was very good to us. And then Ivan hit, and he went other places, and we stayed. So,
Thanks. Thanks, Morgan. Thank you for your tireless dedication, you and Danielle, your tireless dedication and years of service to the Republican Party, and for keeping the lights on for us here at the club. It's good to be with friends and neighbors and fellow Republicans tonight. Some of you I've had the opportunity to know for more than 10 years now, going back to my time as general manager at this golf facility. And contrary to what you may have heard, my wife and I didn't just move to Navarre a couple of months ago. We've actually been here for over a decade now. I actually rode out Hurricane Ivan here in the men's locker room at Hidden Creek Golf Club. But for those of you that I am meeting for the first time tonight, tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a Florida native. I'm the first in my family to receive a college degree. When I was working for Walt Disney World, I would go to school at night to finish up, to become the first in my family to receive a college degree. My wife of 14 years, Amy, and I, we currently live in Navarre with our two children. Annabelle, who's 9, attends Holly Navarre Intermediate, and my little 4-year-old son, who is an absolute handful, Hilton. And we've owned and operated a business in Navarre for more than 8 years now. So here we are. Another election cycle is upon us. And we'll no doubt have candidates, plenty of them, come and talk to us, and we'll probably hear a lot of the same recycled talking points that we've grown accustomed to every 2 to 4 years. We'll have candidates come before us and promise to bring more jobs, and clean up our environment, and support veterans, and help our kids. But rarely, if ever, do we have a candidate stand before us and give us specifics of how they'd accomplish those tasks. And I would say more importantly than that, rarely, if ever, do we have a candidate come before us and tell us what they have accomplished in the communities, and in this case, the county they wish to serve. If you're like me, when you go to exercise that most precious right that we all have as Americans, the right to vote, you want to have a clear expectation, a clear understanding of the type of leadership that the person you're voting for is going to provide. How else to determine that? I was talking to somebody tonight that, we have folks that come before us and you're just meeting them for the first time. How are you going to know if you elect them, if you give them your vote, how they're going to lead? Are we to expect that once somebody gets elected that the light switch will go off and they'll automatically start knowing how to identify needs and collaborate with other community leaders to get problems solved? Or do they have a proven track record of doing that already long before they decided to run for office? I'm proud of my dedication to Santa Rosa County, and it's nothing new. If you'd like to have a specific example of my dedication to veterans in Santa Rosa County, then look at my work as a founding member of the Vets to VA. Vets to VA is an organization that sees to it that Santa Rosa County veterans who wouldn't otherwise have an opportunity to do so receive free transportation to their doctor's appointment at the VA hospital in Pensacola twice a week. If you'd like to see a specific example of my dedication to youth in Santa Rosa County, look at the 3-year effort. The 3-year effort of which I was a part that resulted in the very first Boys and Girls Club coming to Santa Rosa County. And as the immediate past chairman of the board of your Boys and Girls Club, I'm proud to tell you that in August of this year, a few short months ago, we now have 123 registered kids serving 4 schools and creating jobs. As it relates to my leadership protecting our natural resources, I'd ask you to look at my work on your local planning and zoning board. As a member of your local zoning board, I fought to expand the wellfield protection zone, even as we had those who would put a landfill directly on top of our water source. A lot of folks don't know that here in the South End, more than 50% of our water comes from the central portion of the county. One of my fellow zoning board members, Carol, is here. We both fought pretty hard to see that expanded, and it wasn't too popular to do so when we first started. I'm very proud of that. And as it relates to jobs, You know, I've been fortunate to serve in a wide range of leadership roles in Santa Rosa County and throughout my career, whether it's my time as a manager at the Walt Disney World Corporation, managing multi-million-dollar budgets and hundreds of employees, or the owner of my very own small business today. I'm on the front lines of job creation as a small business owner. And I can tell you, I firmly believe that the ability to identify, develop, and retain the right people will determine the success or failure of virtually any enterprise. And I believe our ability as a county, as a Republican Party, as a state, and as a country to elect the right people will go a long way in determining our success or failure. We need to expect more from our elected leaders. And I'll tell you what one of my recommendations would be: to stop electing politicians, and let's start electing leaders. And they're easy to spot, folks. They're easy to spot because politicians are different than leaders. And one very important characteristic, you see, leaders and politicians will both tell you and can both identify what the problems are. They can also go to step 2 and tell you what's causing the problem, or in the case of a politician, who to blame for it. And that's usually where the similarities stop. You see, a leader, after they identify the problem and they look at what's causing it, they immediately start working on the solution. Too often I see politicians wait until there are no other options available before they finally make a decision. And I think that we have evidence of that here in Navarre. I don't see how Santa Rosa County can reach its potential as a county if we continue to leave Navarre behind. And I believe that's what's happened over the course of the last 3 years. We need leadership in Navarre that can be a voice for Navarre in Milton and in Tallahassee. And that's why I'm running, because we can do better. We can do better. We need to have that voice. We need to have a better plan for what we're going to do for economic development and how we're going to make small business a part of our economic development story. We also need to have representation because of the unequitable spending we have going on right now in this county. Over 85% of bed tax tourism collections are south of I-10. So why is it that we consistently get outspent north of I-10? And I think that's because part of it is our own fault for not having a vision and a plan for what we'd like to see. As it relates to tourism, I believe we need to expand from our current 5-month tourism season to a 12-month tourism season. How do you do that? Specifically, if elected, I'd like to take a look at our tourism plan that we have. It's currently in its 11th year, with no measurable metrics to see if it's been a success or failure. Is it accomplishing the objectives that we want from our tourism industry? I'd like to see us take a fresh look at our tourism industry. I'd like to see us support programs like the Navarre Marine Science Station out at Navarre Beach. What an unbelievable program where we have teachers teaching kids marine biology, and then those kids turn around and teach other kids. It's a singular program that's unique in the South and in Florida that we could capitalize on. It's the type of family-friendly, eco-friendly based tourism dollar that we want to attract. And yet we have no plan for its installation. Instead, our current representative, who when he took over had $800,000 in the District 4 Rec Fund budget and will receive another $300,000 during his term. We now sit at $500,000 in rec funds. By my math, that puts us a little over $500,000 that's been spent in the Navarre community, and for the life of me, I don't know what it was spent on. What do we have to show for it? We need to have leadership that will collaborate and draw out other leaders to be part of the process. And I'm very proud of the fact that I've had many different examples of doing that in the community. Now, I want to get to some of the questions, but I want to also touch on one thing that's been kind of bothering me a little bit, to be honest with you. So I want to speak frankly, I want to speak plainly tonight. A lot of you know some of my story and some of my family's history with alcoholism. And I've heard some folks that want to make this campaign about my past instead of Santa Rosa County's future. that negative 5% out there of the community that would try to build themselves up by tearing others down. I want to let you know I have a message for that negative 5% tonight. Say what you're going to say. Write what you're going to write and post on Concerned Citizens of Navarre Facebook page what you want to post about what you feel is objectionable about me. As for me, I'm grateful for my belief in a God that doesn't give me the awesome responsibility of judging others. And I'm thankful for that same God's grace in forgiving me. I put my faith in the sound judgment of the people and voters of Santa Rosa County. And I believe that when they evaluate me and all my life's experiences, even though they'll hear, you'll know this negative 5% because they'll tell you I'm a recovering alcoholic. And that's true. They'll tell you that I have a past bankruptcy. That's also true. But I can tell you, I don't fear that 5% that would try to control the other 95% of us with their steady drumbeat of doubt and negativity. We don't need another defender of the status quo, folks, and I don't think we need anybody else telling us what the problems are around here. What we do need is somebody that's willing to roll up their sleeves and do the hard work of building the type of community that we all think is possible and that we all deserve. That's why I'm running for office. If you want something bad enough, you've got to go after it. I'm glad that I grew up in a time where every kid didn't win a medal just for showing up. I'm glad that I don't come from a family that has a long history of politics. I come from a family with a long history of hard work. My dad was a hard-working, blue-collar man who built himself up out of the ditch to be a successful business owner. And he meant that I was going to work. I'm proud of my blue-collar roots. And I look forward to going front porch to front porch and door to door around this diverse county of ours and making my case as to why I should be the next person to represent not only Navarre, but all of Santa Rosa County. I think we have such unbelievable potential as a community and as a county. Santa Rosa County is such an amazing place to live. When you look at all the demographic advantages we have, the geographic advantages we have, as it relates to economic development, you know, it's obviously you have three different areas of economic development that are important to having any success. You've got to have talent. You've got to have available inventory in your industrial parks. And all things being equal, you've got to have incentives to offer to close the deal. Well, we've got talent. Year after year, our kids are ranked in the top 5 by any metric you would use to evaluate education. So obviously, we have some of the best and brightest, most talented kids in the state of Florida. Unfortunately, though, we have these kids that we raise with these strong Christian conservative values, and we place these values in them in this world-class education, and there's no opportunities here for them. So they take those values and that education to Austin and Atlanta and other places. We need to have an economic development plan that will help give these kids an opportunity that if they want to stay here after they get out of high school or college, that they'll have a place to stay and opportunities for them. I look forward to talking to you more about these ideas. I look forward to hearing your questions tonight. I ask you to go to electrobwilliamson.com. You can look at the issues. You can look at what I put down to the specifics so you'll have an idea. If I was fortunate enough to get your vote, you'll have an idea of what you could expect on day one of the type of leadership that I would provide. And I'm very grateful for your time. I have to tell you, I'm so excited for what's possible for this community, and I look forward to seeing what we can accomplish together. And I'd be happy to take any questions.